The 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs are squaring off in Super Bowl 58. And we got to talk about how both of these two teams got to this game. San Francisco was a lot of people's preseason prediction to win the NFC. All right. And for the entirety of this season, they've been unquestioned the most dominant team in this conference. They rolled over the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. They destroyed and dismantled the Philadelphia Eagles. Once the 49ers beat the brakes off of Philadelphia, that's when their season started to turn left. Their only two losses in the NFC have come to the Rams and the Minnesota Vikings. And their other losses have occurred in the other conference. So if we're talking about the undisputed best team from their respective conference, it's the 49ers. Meanwhile, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, who nobody, well, I won't say nobody, unless you're a Chiefs fans, but the majority of people out there, myself included, did not expect for Kansas City to go any further than the wild card round. That was because of all the struggles that they've had on offense this year. They struggle to generate big plays consistently. They don't have a good cast of wide receivers. Outside of Rashee Rice, the receiving core is terrible. And then you have Travis Kelce, who looked washed up until the playoffs came around. And then Patrick Mahomes has statistically his worst season that he's been starting for Kansas City in the NFL. But all of a sudden, they get to the playoffs and they flip a switch. They make easy work of the Miami Dolphins. They take care of business on the road against a Buffalo Bills team that, yeah, they had injuries, but the consensus was that they were going to win that game because Buffalo already beat Kansas City in the regular season. You see, in the regular season, the Kansas City Chiefs were in control of the 1 seed in the AFC. And we seem to forget that. They were 7-2 in the 1 seed. All of a sudden, they lose to Philadelphia. And then they struggle late November, early December. You lose to the Green Bay Packers, the Buffalo Bills due to J.R. Toney. Then you had the weird game when the Raiders beat you with Aiden O'Connell not throwing another completion after the first quarter. So you would think that Kansas City was going to have no chance of making it to the Super Bowl with how tough the AFC has been this season, with all the great quarterbacks that we have. You would have thought that Lamar Jackson would have been able to get it done with how much of a superior team the Ravens were compared to Kansas City on paper, and with him winning MVP for the second time in his career. All the stars were perfectly aligned for the Ravens to make it out of the AFC. But Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, they were able to be more composed in that game. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, they lost their composure. Lamar was throwing his helmet. You could tell that it was their first time being in that game. It wasn't for Kansas City. Kansas City, being the team that they are, they know that once you get to the playoffs, it doesn't matter what you did in the regular season. All that goes out the window because the playoffs is a different brand of football. And Patrick Mahomes and this whole entire Chiefs team, they're playing their best football at the right time. You want to play your best football in the playoffs. I'd rather play shitty the last half of the regular season and look good in the playoffs than look strong throughout the regular season and look like how the 49ers have the last two games that we've seen them in. You see, Kansas City has made a strong run to the Super Bowl. All right, the fact that the 49ers are getting credit because they have a more talented team, I think undermines the importance of what makes football so great. What makes football so great is that anything you say has to be showed on the field. And Kansas City isn't the most talented team, but neither were the last three Patriots teams that won their last three Super Bowls with the Brady-Belichick era. The Patriots, even with their best teams, didn't win Super Bowls. They got upset. The best teams don't always win. The team that wins is the team that is able to execute in the fourth quarter, doesn't beat themselves, and has great coaching. You know that you're getting that out of Kansas City. You got Andy Reid Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, the three staples of that offense, the three staples of that organization, and this dynasty that is impending right now. San Francisco, they were in this game before. And the reason why they lost is really opposite to how Kansas City got here. You see, in the last Super Bowl that the 49ers played against Kansas City, they were in control for 4 quarters and 7 minutes. And then Kansas City and Mahomes took over the rest of the game. You see, Kansas City has the true heart of a champion. They show up in the biggest moments. When they need to get a big play, they find a way to execute and get it done. You can't say the same for the 49ers, and that's why they've limped into the Super Bowl. You see, with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm at quarterback in that Super Bowl in 2019 against Kansas City, he played very well up until the fourth quarter when he overthrew Emmanuel Sanders. And you can't just put all of the blame for San Francisco losing that Super Bowl on Jimmy Garoppolo. Kyle Shanahan, he is notoriously known for choking away Super Bowl leads. He did it against Kansas City the last time these two teams met up in the Super Bowl, and he did it when he was the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons when they gave up that 28-3 lead. This dude has questionable play calling when the game is on the line and when he's playing from behind. He gets a little bit tight. He looks a little bit nervous and anxious, and he gets away from what works. And that's why the Chiefs have made a strong run into the Super Bowl, and the 49ers are limping into the Super Bowl not playing their best football. And that's why I referenced that last Super Bowl matchup between these two teams, because the same 49ers team that we saw that year, it's the same 49er team that I see this season with a worse defense. You see, San Francisco, for as talented as a team that they are, they haven't played like it the last 2 weeks. We haven't seen the most dominant team in the NFC. They nearly lost to the Detroit Lions. They nearly lost to Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers with home field advantage and the first round bye. This is not a team that is playing great ball. And what even concerns me more is that they beat the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship, having concerns with effort. Chase Young doing his own thing. The pass rush not really being all that great. You can say that San Francisco found a way to win the game, and that's what matters, and that's why they're in this game. And it's a testament to how talented of a team they are. If you can not give it all you have effort-wise, and you can still win, and do it from comeback fashion, that shows how talented you are. But the Lions lost that game because of coaching decisions, especially in the fourth quarter. And I'm not just talking about the fourth down decisions by Dan Campbell that didn't work out. The timeout that he burned late was pretty stupid. And the decision-making to run it on that last touchdown attempt was really idiotic when they needed to score fast, when they really should have thrown the football. Kansas City, you're not going to have that issue. Kansas City, you have to beat this team clean because they're not going to give you any opportunities for you to take advantage of mistakes. Yeah, in the regular season, they had some errors when it came to getting lined up correctly. Kadarius Toney, there were a lot of false start and holding penalties called on their 2 starting tackles. But in the playoffs, this has been a fairly clean football team. Great coaching. You have been very disciplined. The 49ers have been the total opposite. And this is the worst defense that they've had in all the years that Kyle Shanahan has been their head coach. The 49ers got to the Super Bowl looking strong in the regular season. And even during the regular season, when they started 5-0, they lost their next 3 games. And then they came off a bye and beat the hell out of Jacksonville, won 6 straight, and then lost to Baltimore. This is a team that isn't the dominant team that people perceive them to be. And they're going up against a Kansas City team that right now, they're locked in. They're executing on all three levels, offense, defense, and special teams. They got held to 17 points against the best defense in the NFL this year. The 49ers defense is not that great. The 49ers got here because they were able to take advantage of bad coaching decisions by Dan Campbell. And they showed up against Jordan Love on the final drive to get that interception on him, but he made a young quarterback mistake. You're not going to get those mistakes out of Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs right now have a lot of momentum. They can truly say that, we ran the table. We got in here because we flat out beat everybody we played. We were the better team. They were the better team against the Ravens. They were the better team against the Bills and the Dolphins. The 49ers, you can't say they look like the better team than the Green Bay Packers in the divisional round. You can't say they look like the better team than the Detroit Lions. They only play in the second half. And you can say that's a heart of a champion too. I can't give praise to Kansas City for turning things around and not give praise to the 49ers for doing the same thing. But you see, the way the 49ers won was really ugly. You're not going to be able to come back down 3 scores in the second half against Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. That's not going to happen. They're too well coached of a football team, and they have one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever touch a football. So if you get down early against Kansas City, your ass is cooked. So these are the ways these two teams got to this game. The Chiefs got here not really finishing the regular season off strong, but they flipped the switch in the playoffs. And all of a sudden, Travis Kelce, who looks washed up in the regular season, is having his best playoff run of his career. Patrick Mahomes is completely flawless right now. He's making no mistakes. It seems like he's throwing no inaccurate passes. He's making no bad decisions. All he's doing is going out there and executing and dominating. And you got a team that's playing their best football right now. This is the best football that Kansas City has played all season long versus the 49ers. They've limped to the finish line. Now, they still gotten here, and they have the opportunity to recorrect some things or rework some things. But at the end of the day, I believe what you are right now going into this game is truly what you're going to be on the field. Now, take that for what you want, but Kansas City has played better football in the playoffs than what the 49ers have. The Chiefs look strong, and that's how they've gotten into this game. The 49ers have gotten to this game based off, them being able to out-talent people, taking advantage of costly mistakes and bad decision-making from opposing coaches and the quarterback. You're not going to have those same things against the Kansas City Chiefs occur.